I'm going to jump right in and start off by sharing some thoughts on test day prep whenever you're taking it, just with an eye towards the final week or so. So I've got in mind here some notes to help guide me in this conversation, what I consider to be 7 of the biggest LSAT test day mistakes. And I've grouped them into 2 major categories. One is stress reduction, because test day stress and anxiety are huge factors in leading to what I consider to be test day score drops. And I want to help you avoid those as much as possible, of course. The other category is kind of silly stuff, careless mistakes, things that shouldn't get in the way, but often do. And it's kind of funny. Even if you know the content cold, even if your accuracy is solid, there are a couple of little things that can lead to one of those test day score drops, and I want to help you avoid those. So I'm going to jump right in. I'd say the biggest thing for those of you taking the LSAT this Saturday, coming up just a few days from now, is overemphasizing the importance of this particular test date. Too many people are registered just for the one LSAT ahead of them. So those of you taking March, you might be registered for this exam and this exam only. But what that does is it leads you to place far too much emphasis on the value of that particular LSAT score. I had a great meetup last night with a bunch of you here in New York, and I was talking with one gentleman who's taking the LSAT this Saturday, and he was stressing out about it. He knew the content well. He was actually scoring in the low 170s, and I was really proud to see that. But he was saying that anxiety and stress were eating him up. And I said to him, you know, it really isn't that much money to register for yet another test date. It costs about $190 to register, and of course, it's free if you have a fee waiver. But either way, if that test registration could give you peace of mind, let's say you're going for March, but you register for June or July in addition, what that does is it takes a little bit of the heat off of you just going for March alone, because you know you have those backup test dates ahead of you. So don't think it's all about this one test. No, you can take it again in June or July and beyond if you need to. And if you can afford it, even just getting that registration taken care of now, having it booked, knowing that no matter what happens, you do have June and July ahead of you, will help you remember that it's not all about this one test. While the LSAT as a whole is extremely important, no one test date in particular is especially important. So know that, especially with the LSAT being offered more and more frequently all the time, we've now got 9, 10 test dates a year. There are plenty of opportunities to retake just around the corner. There's always another test date just a month or 2 away. The next thing I want to help you think about is, in terms of stress reduction, is letting go. I don't want you to get stressed about or get stuck on one particular question or even a section when you've already moved on. So let's say you're on game 4 and game 3 gave you a lot of trouble. It's eating you up. You want to be able to let go of what happened on game 3 and move on to game 4. And of course, that's easier said than done. But remember that you've bubbled in your answers. You flipped the page. It's not going to help you, of course, to think about what's going on with game 3 if you're not actively working on it. This is where mindfulness and focus come in. You want to train yourself to focus on the task at hand and let go of what came before. It's easier said than done. It takes some practice. But even just now, with only a few days remaining, I want to encourage you to set aside even as little as 3 to 5 minutes a day, just focusing on your breath, focusing on the task at hand. Whenever your mind wanders, acknowledging it, admitting that it happened to yourself, because it's okay, it's natural. But the moment of recognition that your mind wandered, the moment when you bring it back, that's the same muscle memory. That's the same strength you can bring to task when it comes to letting go of a previous question and moving on to the following one. Which brings me to the third stress-related technique that I want to help you with to reduce your stress, is to avoid getting bogged down on tough questions. It's natural, but you don't want it to be the end of the world. Typically, when I'm going through a timed logical reasoning section, I'll actually skip 3 to 5 questions in the section, even me, and I do well. I got a 175, but I'll still skip 3 to 5 tough questions in the moment because I don't want to get bogged down on them. I know that I'm throwing good time after bad, and I really don't want to risk getting stuck in a kind of LSAT quicksand because it's tough. It's not easy. And these lengthy questions are worth the same as the shorter ones. Everything's worth just 1 point. But if a question is taking up half the page, If it's an incredibly lengthy parallel question or principal application question or something on a difficult topic like philosophy or science where I know that I'm not likely to make a lot of headway in the moment, what I'll do is I'll flag it, I'll skip it, and hope to come back to it later. And by the time I get to the end of the section, I'll typically have 3 to 5 minutes remaining, and I'll be able to use that time to go back and handle the 3 to 5 questions that gave me the most trouble.